What's up guys, for today's video I'm going to show you another method to reduce stars. As you see here, we have a densely packed photo of stars that I want to make less intrusive so it looks more like this photo. Now I can see more of the detail in the Milky Way core, some of the nebulas, and even dust trails. This is one of the main reasons photographers like to reduce the stars, as well as personal preference. So let's jump into Photoshop and I'll show you how easy it is. Now another thing I want to add before we start is this technique works very well with 24mm and higher focal lengths. I'm not saying you can't do this with a wide angle Milky Way shot, however the stars tend to be more overpowering at mid telephoto lengths, especially when using star trackers. So you may not see a huge difference with ultra wide shots, but definitely give it a shot. Okay, so let's start by making a copy of the image and go to the Channels tab. Grab the RGB channel and drag it to the round dotted circles. This is effectively selecting our highlights in the photo, and if we zoom in you can see the marching ants around each of the stars and the bright areas. Now we want to expand that selection by going to Select, Modify, and choose Expand. Now you don't want to expand it too far out, so you want to keep it around 1 pixel or maybe even 2 pixels if you're using a higher telephoto lens like a 50mm or 85mm. I shot this with a 35mm lens, so 1 pixel should be plenty. Now we don't want hard edges when we go to reduce the stars, so go back and choose Select, Modify, and then Feather. A good rule of thumb is to use half of what your pixel expansion was. So my pixel expansion was 1. I'm going to use 0.5 to feather. If you chose 2 pixels, when you're expanding, then just choose 1 for your feather option. You also play around with these settings and maybe find something that you like a little bit better, but this will get you started in the right direction. So next we want to see what the star reduction will look like, so we want to hide these marching ants by using Command H or Control H on a PC. If you get a message like I have here, just click Hide Extras. Now select Filter, Other, and Minimum. When the dialog box opens up, change squareness to roundness. Okay, so here's where the magic's going to happen. Right now it doesn't look too pretty, but we're going to play around with this pixel settings, and you see if you go too far, it totally gets rid of all the highlights, and then we can bring it back to brighten them up. So we want to try and find a happy median. It's typically around 0.5, 0.6, or maybe even 0.7. Just play around for a little bit, zoom in and out, and really dial it in how you like. So I'm just gonna scroll around here and just check things out. You could also preview on and off to kind of see the difference before you apply it. Alright, that looks pretty good there. Alright, so even at 0.8, it's just a little too much. You start to see some of the chromatic aberrations. Alright, so I'm going to put it around 0.6. That looks pretty good to me. And then just hit OK. And now once you have that, you could click on Layers. You could toggle it on and off. And you could even lighten the opacity of this layer if you want to bring back some of the stars if you think you went too far. We're going to do a little bit more editing, so make a copy. And here I like to do some subtle changes. First we're going to do some burning to the shadow area. And I keep the exposure around 1%. These are just very minor. You don't really notice the changes at first until you kind of turn off the layer just to see what happened. Alright, next I'm going to use Dodge. Whoops, I gotta make sure it's on highlights. And same thing, I keep it around 1% and then just dodge over all these highlights. Just really make it pop. Again, the changes are very subtle. You could toggle it on and off to check them out. If you want to go one step further, we can even add an S-curve, and I'm just going to do a very small S-curve, just kind of help it pop a little bit further. Right, there you go. Once you're satisfied, just flatten your image. And you can really see how this Milky Way core just stands out so much more without the stars overpowering it. You can zoom in here and check out the work. Really see some of the nebulas and clusters of stars. It's really fascinating. So that about wraps it up. It's a very simple and easy tutorial to do. Experiment, and now you have another option to kind of create something new with your work. And hopefully over the course of the next week or two, there's a funny thing going around with this flat earther who's offering 10 grand for people that could prove the earth is round. So challenge accepted. I'm gonna make a video probably in a week or two, getting my evidence of a round earth. And I know it's silly. I know these people probably will never pay up the money or anything like that, but heck, I'll give it a try. You never know. So stay tuned for that. It should be interesting. I'm sure there's going to be a fun debate in the comment section for that one. So, yep, see you in a week or two. Bye.